Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Apa kabarnya kawan-kawan semuanya? Semoga kabarnya sehat selalu dalam lindungan Allah Subhanahu wa taala, dipermudah segala urusannya. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Guys, nih di video kali ini ya, saya ingin mereaksi suatu video yang mana di sini, guys, tajuknya yaitu pelancong tak ramai sedar ya. Malaysia rupanya antara negara paling terjaga di dunia, guys. Wow. Malaysia adalah antara negara paling terjaga di dunia, guys. Wow, ini patut untuk menjadi contoh, guys, ya, buat negara-negara lain ya. Salah satunya adalah Indonesia, yang mana negaraku tercinta, guys. Tentu ingin suatu perubahan yang besar untuk Indonesia, tentu harus belajar daripada negara-negara lainnya. Salah satunya adalah Malaysia, gitu, guys, ya. Saya pun penasaran seperti apakah videonya. Buat korang semua mungkin yang belum support channel ini, bolehlah kiranya untuk support channel ini, subscribe, like, dan komentar, guys, ya. Dan mari kita sama-sama tengok videonya. Ini dia, jom. Oke, Ria Oktorina. Nanti linknya saya sertakan di deskripsi di bawah, guys, ya.
Belakangan ini muncul cerita dari sebagian turis asing yang merasa kecewa saat pertama kali datang ke Malaysia.
Kenapa?
Mereka datang dengan ekspektasi tertentu, lalu membandingkan Malaysia dengan destinasi wisata seperti Bali atau Thailand. Dari sinilah muncul pertanyaan, mengapa suasana wisata di Malaysia terasa berbeda dan tidak dipenuhi pesta seperti yang mereka bayangkan? Namun di saat yang sama, ramai orang luar negeri justru menyokong keputusan Malaysia yang tetap mempertahankan marwah negara dengan membatasi perilaku turis agar tidak berubah seperti Thailand atau Bali yang identik dengan pesta. Karena Malaysia dikenal sebagai negara yang menjunjung tinggi nilai syariat Islam.
Masya Allah. Wow, guys, ini dari awal video saja kita sudah belum bisa sih menyimpulkan seperti apa videonya. Tentu di sini ini pengakuan para turis ya, para turis yang datang ke Malaysia. Tentu mereka ini merasa berbeda, guys, ya, dengan yang dia rasakan di Bali, Indonesia ya khususnya, dan di Thailand kalau tidak salah tadi, guys, ya. Dan mereka mungkin kaget dan terkejut ya bagaimana tempat wisata yang dia kunjungi di Malaysia itu seperti ini ternyata, guys, ya. Lebih menjunjung tinggi nilai agama Islam terutama, terbaik, guys, ya. Padahal kalau kita lihat di Indonesia mayoritas Islam, tapi ya gimana di Bali ya, kalian tahu sendiri lagi bagaimana di Bali ya, pesta-pesta segala macam. Oke, kita lihat seperti apa, guys. Ini pesta ini di Bali,
I think
ya.
one of the reasons that I prefer Malaysia to Bali in particular, I think it's very important in the Indonesian context to actually talk about Bali and not Indonesia, because Indonesia is 17,000 islands, and Jakarta, for example, is like a drastically different place than Bali. But if we compare like Bali and Malaysia, I think one of the mistakes that the Indonesian government has made with Bali is that Westerners or foreigners have been allowed to kind of come in and be completely prioritized, and there hasn't been always the consideration for local people and making sure that there are actual triple wins happening, meaning triple wins for the government, wins for the local community, and wins for those foreign visitors. And I think that this is part of why Bali is not a great place to be now, because the traffic is terrible, because road infrastructure has not been sufficiently invested in to actually cope with the number of people who have come in. There's been very little regard to maintaining Indonesian character, Indonesian culture, or Balinese character, Balinese culture on the island. It really is, you go there now and it is influencers everywhere, wannabe entrepreneurs everywhere. And while you can kind of look at that as like, oh, okay, so this is now a hub of global culture, I'm most inspired by places that manage to balance global culture with local culture, and perhaps are able to present global culture with a very distinctive taste of local culture.
Don't y'all come playing with Bali. Bali is not playing with y'all. Y'all better. Malaysia, I'm sorry. I love Malaysia. But don't tell everybody that I love Malaysia, because we don't want everybody in Malaysia, okay? You Balinese? No.
Tidak.
No. It's too much going on. But I feel you though. You do vacation in Bali. Then you go back to your nice place in Malaysia and don't tell nobody you in Malaysia. It's not for that. Don't be quiet. Shh. Malaysia is the best country in Southeast Asia.
Wow, itu guys, ini adalah pandangan ataupun komentar daripada orang luar ya, orang asing terhadap Malaysia. Tentu ini Bali, siapa tidak kenal Bali ya, Indonesia, tempat wisata yang banyak sekali negara-negara luar mengunjungi Bali ya. Itu positifnya ya dari itu. Tetapi negatifnya adalah itu dia ya, di Bali itu bebas melakukan pesta ya. Kalian tahu lah guys ya, bagaimana pesta ya, apalagi udah pesta, aduh, saya pun itu yang kekurangan Bali guys ya. Kenapa? Karena memang sih di Bali banyak yang umat Hindu seperti itu ya, tetapi menurut saya sebagai orang Islam gitu guys ya, ini membuat nama Indonesia gitu guys ya. Apalagi kalau kita pikir Indonesia adalah mayoritas Islam Muslim ya, sedangkan di Bali ya kalian tahu sendiri bagaimana, bebas lah istilahnya melakukan sesuai dengan apa yang dikomentari oleh para turis ini guys. Sedangkan di Malaysia mereka mengatakan I love Malaysia ya. Malaysia adalah negara terbaik di Asia Tenggara. Masya Allah. Sebenarnya ini menjadi contoh buat Indonesia gitu guys ya. Walaupun Bali adalah tempat yang memang favorit orang-orang luar ke Indonesia, tapi setidaknya dijaga ya, supaya tidak pesta-pesta party segala macam bisa diminimkan seperti itu ya. Apa yang dilakukan oleh Malaysia ini yang membuat saya itu terbaik sih Malaysia guys ya. Okay, next.
Shh, don't tell nobody. We don't want people to know that, okay? And keep your voice down. Don't even say Malaysia, okay? Stop it. No. Go to Bali. Jesus. Hallelujah.
So many Malaysians comment this, and honestly, I was a little bit surprised to see this comment again and again. Please keep quiet, because everyone knows that tourism is good for the local economy. Tourists come, tourists spend money. Hotels, tourist shops, museums, food, and whatever else. I really found it strange, and I decided to read more comments. Scrolling, and I realized that one of the real fears that many Malaysians have is Malaysia becoming the next Bali or the next Phuket, which, by the way, I completely understand, because we've all seen videos of Bali and Phuket and how at times it can become terrible for the locals, yet wonderful for the tourists. So reading all those comments, I really understand the concern. Malaysia has so much heritage, so much culture, that exchanging it for a crazy tourist would be such a sad deal, such a sad trade. By the way, look at the views. However, I don't think that Malaysia is at risk of this crazy problematic tourist crisis, and that is for two main reasons. Reason number one, very simple. Malaysian arak is not cheap. That's the main thing that attracts this kind of tourists, is cheap alcohol. Compared to Thailand, compared to Bali. Yes, by the way, you can look at Thai alcohol tax and say, oh, it's quite high as well, but they have their own locally made cheap alcohol, all the chang and whatever. Yeah, that's one of the main things that attracts this kind of tourists. Reason number two, the reputation of the country. Especially if you're looking at Malaysia as someone from outside of Malaysia, a modest, conservative, non-drinking country. And if you are a crazy tourist that wants to attracts this kind of tourists is cheap alcohol. Compared to Thailand, compared to Bali. Yes, by the way, you can look at Thai alcohol tax and say, oh, it's quite high as well. But they have their own locally made cheap alcohol, all the chang and whatever. Yeah, that's one of the main things that attracts this kind of tourists. Reason number two, the reputation of the country. Especially if you're looking at Malaysia as someone from outside of Malaysia, a modest, conservative, non-drinking country. And if you are a crazy tourist that wants to have that kind of fun, a modest, conservative, non-drinking country is very unlikely to be on your list of places to go. The good thing though is Malaysia's tourism is still booming, still managing to attract a lot of tourists, but they're coming here for the right reason. And it is much easier to attract tourists to a country the way that Thailand did a few years ago. Yeah, you attract them, but what happens to a country at the end of the day? I've been to Phuket myself, and would I even think considering living there? No, because it's unlivable. Good for Malaysia, seriously, respect to Malaysia for being a growing and leading tourist destination without using all those low ways. And I hope that Malaysia's tourism keeps growing without sacrificing a single piece of its Malaysian soul. By the way, if you're Malaysian, follow me and let's discuss all these interesting things together. I've lived here in Malaysia for half my life and I think there are so many things to discuss and explore. Jumpa lagi semua. Terima kasih Daun. Kaladi ada masa jumpa lagi.
If you were to ask me what I would change about Malaysia, it's probably going to be the way how they promote their tourism. Because it's such a hidden part, it's a small piece of heaven, hidden between Thailand that everyone heard of, Singapore, and Indonesia. Indonesia has been heard of from point of view of Bali, right? But Malaysia, it's right in the middle. And from a promotion perspective, I haven't heard about Malaysia as much as one should praise Malaysia until I've actually moved here. I've never been in Malaysia. I've never been to Southeast Asia until I moved to Malaysia. And obviously now I've been here for 3 years. I've traveled around. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. So yes, it's very hard to find something that's not good about Malaysia.
The most underrated city in the world. We are back in Kuala Lumpur, KL Tower and the Menara 118, the Menara 118 just behind as well. I absolutely love this place. It is such good energy, loads of food, loads of lovely people, and extremely affordable as well. Extremely affordable. My accommodation has a pool, has a gym. It's like £6 a night. It's ridiculous.
Malaysia is the most underrated country in Southeast Asia. I just spent a month there, and here's what I think. Everyone actually speaks English there. It's also relatively clean compared to the other countries in the region. And the food in Malaysia is the best I've tasted across all of the world. Kuala Lumpur is also super modern with great infrastructure, and it's way less touristy than Thailand. The country is Muslim, so I thought it was going to be super strict, but you can actually buy alcohol. They have nightclubs. It's not as great as other countries, and alcohol is quite expensive. If that's what you're looking for, don't go to Malaysia. One thing I forgot to say is how cheap Malaysia is. I found that some things are actually cheaper than in Thailand, but some things like alcohol, for example, are more expensive. One of the downsides with Malaysia is that it's not as flashy as other countries. It doesn't have so many tourist attractions, but it's definitely a great place to live long term.
There's this one comment about Malaysia that I keep hearing from foreigners that are visiting Malaysia for the first time. And it always makes me think, like, really, where do you guys take it from? Every time I meet some foreigners that are visiting Malaysia for the first time, I ask them, how do you like it? How's your experience in KL? And literally like 7 out of 10 people say, I did not expect KL to be like this. I'm always asking them, okay, what did you expect and what do you mean? And then say that they did not expect KL to be so modern and so developed. And I'm always thinking, what did you think it's gonna be? Surely you've heard about Petronas. Did you think it's like built in the middle of the jungle? I've heard people comparing it to the cities in the US and saying that it's looking very wealthy, very developed and very urban. But then for me, I was surprised the other way around. Before I came here, obviously with the research and with knowledge about Twin Towers, I was expecting KL to be quite well developed and the skyline being very impressive, but I did not expect it to be so green. That's what stood out to me at the very beginning, that even though it's such a metropolitan city, the crazy amount of high buildings and complex roads, that is still so green and so jungly. So I don't know where do people get that expectation from, but I'm every time surprised by this comment. Let me know what comments have you heard about KL or Malaysia that made you surprised.
This doesn't feel like Malaysia, you know. This is on another level, that's for sure. Look at the amount of people next to Louis Vuitton here. Wow, this is such a cool place. I guess people come here maybe to make some photos or something. Look, Christian Dior, JD, you've got Louis Vuitton. Wow. What a beautiful place. I'm really impressed, guys. That's very nice. You've got Rolex on the other street. A lot of photo shooting going on. Right, so I just walked around a corner and look at that. You've got Balenciaga, you've got Saint Laurent, Richard Mille, Burberry, Tiffany, Glen, all the most famous brands in the world, and Rolex, of course. This is insane. I'm so impressed with Kuala Lumpur. Wow, probably the best city in the world, I would say. Very safe, I feel very safe, very clean, beautiful,
cantik,
outstanding architecture, guys. Wow.
I really don't understand why people always go to Kuala Lumpur and skip other places in Malaysia, because all the country has many interesting, beautiful places, interesting culture, food, and everything is amazing. I spent 1 month in Malaysia and it was not enough. I had to leave the country because my visa is expired, but I definitely want to come back. I haven't been to all the places because I love slow traveling, but I visited Penang, Kuala Terengganu, Pulau Kapas, my favorite place, Kuala Lumpur, and Melaka. And 1 month is really not enough. I met the best people here, and honestly, I think here's the most friendly people I ever met during my almost 2 years of traveling. So if you're traveling in Southeast Asia, you have to explore Malaysia more. I bet you'll be in love.
Something I really love about Malaysia, as someone who's lived in Malaysia for about half my life, no, it's not the food, it's not the people. Yes, I do love them all, but there is something that I think not many foreigners know about. And that is, of course, that once you come to Malaysia, you don't have to go outside of Malaysia. That means you don't have to go outside of Malaysia to get some medical procedure done. You don't have to go outside of Malaysia to get anything done, because actually Malaysia is advanced to such a level where it practically has everything that you might imagine to the top level. For example, 2 weeks ago, I went to get a hair transplant done. By the way, have a look. All the redness is gone. I'm feeling completely fine. That's because it was done by some of the top professionals. I've been watching videos online of people flying to Turkey to get it done, of people flying wherever else to get it done. And guess what? I've always seen those recovery videos of people looking like Megamind, you know. I was expecting to be having this kind of reaction. Lucky for me, this is how I looked after 2 weeks. Obviously, everyone is going to have a different reaction, this and that. The point is, my friends from Russia, my friends from Europe were messaging me and saying, wow, we didn't know that Malaysia has this kind of procedures. We didn't know that you can get this done in Malaysia. That's awesome. And why can it be awesome for them, by the way, is because the price in Malaysia for this top kind of quality that you can get here is reasonable. And this is just one procedure. When I was 11 years old, I had my tonsils removed here. So that's like a whole different kind of a surgery, right? And guess what? I didn't even have to pay for it. The insurance covered it. So that's another nice thing about living in Malaysia. The insurance, I guess, maybe was a little bit more generous about 10 years ago. Yeah, but I'm not here complaining. You have everything here. You don't have a reason to even go out of here. So yeah, terima kasih Malaysia. Since I came here when I was 11 years old, still living here, and even for a vacation, Langkawi, Port Dixon, once in a while, I guess it's nice to go somewhere, yeah? But mana-mana pun boleh di sini lah, support local dan eleksi bro, budak kampung selalu.
Why do I love Malaysia? Because this country make my life simpler. First, you don't need to buy warm clothes. It's always summer. You never have to worry about 4 seasons. Second, the food. And anywhere I go, I can find something incredible. It makes me feel safe and taken care of. And the third, most important thing, it teaches you patience. You cannot hustle here 24/7. Things move slower. You have to wait. And this slowness saved me from my own hustle culture mentality. Dear Malaysia, and to all the Malaysian people, thank you so much for this beautiful country.
Why did we leave New Zealand to come to Malaysia? And why did we apply for our Malaysia My Second Home visa so we could stay here? First of all, the quality and standard of living for us here in Malaysia is so much more higher. It's so much more obtainable. In New Zealand is expensive. Everything is expensive. Food, power, petrol, just your every day-to-day life is expensive. Second of all, the medical system here is fantastic. You can go and see a specialist just like that. You go to the hospital, you go to the office, you take a number, you're going to see a specialist. That's unheard of in New Zealand. You're going to be 9 months down the track until you see anybody or even talk to anybody. Third is the people and the culture. Everybody here is just so much nicer, so much friendlier, so much happier, and I feel like it's really good for the kids to be able to experience a different culture, a different language. New Zealand is so far away and so isolated and so in their bubble, they have no idea what's going on the other side of the world. So it's really good for the kids to understand that there's not just New Zealand. And the last one is the tax in New Zealand. The tax system in New Zealand is insane. The tax rates are super, super high. So here in Malaysia, it works to our favour. So this is why we're here.
It's a random Tuesday in Kuala Lumpur, and look at this. Skyline, people jogging, the grass perfectly cut. Look at this. Oh my God, look at this park. It's gorgeous. Look at that.
Cantik, Masya Allah.
And I'll come back to Malaysia. I'll keep coming back to Malaysia. I mean, I just felt balanced. You know, sometimes I party a lot when I'm traveling, so I didn't even want to party like in Malaysia. It wasn't even that vibe. I was like, just like healing or just in a spiritual state or something. Like it felt so good. I didn't want to mess up my spirit and my mind and my body. And I know I'm rambling on and on about the same thing, but guys, you really healed me, and I appreciate you, and I'll forever appreciate Malaysia.
Sebagian turis memang datang ke Malaysia dengan harapan menemukan hiburan malam, pesta besar, dan kebebasan tanpa batas seperti yang sering mereka lihat di Bali atau Thailand. Ketika harapan itu tidak terpenuhi, kekecewaan pun muncul. Namun, anggapan ini sebenarnya lahir dari kesalahpahaman tentang identitas dan arah pariwisata Malaysia. Malaysia sejak awal memilih jalannya sendiri. Negara ini tidak menjadikan pesta dan hiburan bebas sebagai daya tarik utama. Sebaliknya, Malaysia menempatkan nilai, norma, dan jati diri bangsa sebagai fondasi pariwisatanya. Inilah yang justru mendapat dukungan luas dari banyak pihak, termasuk dari masyarakat internasional yang memahami pentingnya menjaga marwah sebuah negara.
Masya Allah. Ini guys, ini yang menurut saya suatu ciri khas bangsa lah, seperti itu ya. Ciri khas bagaimana Malaysia ini bisa menempatkan istilahnya bagaimana caranya menarik ya wisatawan asing ya ke Malaysia, tetapi tidak mengorbankan norma-norma yang ada seperti itu ya. Sopan santun begitu guys ya. Silakan ke Malaysia, tetapi ada batas-batasnya gitu guys ya. Tidak sebebas mereka yang menilai ini dari Bali gitu guys ya. Bagaimana di Bali itu sangat bebas, pesta segala macam ya. Mungkin itu membuat para turis ini membedakan antara Bali dan Malaysia begitu guys ya. Mungkin keinginan mereka untuk datang ke Malaysia itu berlibur ya kan, bebas begitu guys ya. Apa yang mereka pikirkan dan mereka rasakan di Bali ya, ternyata tidak dia dapatkan di Malaysia. Tapi itu suatu poin penting guys, poin penting menurut saya ya. Bagaimana pandangan teman-teman semuanya? Mungkin boleh komen di bawah guys ya. ini membuat Malaysia ini ya walaupun banyak turis ataupun orang-orang wisatawan datang ke Malaysia, yang mereka tonjolkan Malaysia ini adalah tempat wisatanya, ya, bukan tempat di mana kebebasan itu, ya. Itu yang buat saya tuh terbaik sih guys di Malaysia. Walaupun kalau kita lihat dari mayoritas Muslim di Indonesia lebih banyak istilahnya guys ya, dibanding dengan Malaysia. Mungkin berapa guys? Mungkin teman-teman semuanya tahu berapa persen istilahnya Muslim dan orang yang non Muslim gitu guys di Malaysia. Tetapi ini yang mereka orang-orang Malaysia ini membuat tetap mempertahankan norma-norma yang ada di Malaysia. Ini yang terbaik guys menurut saya. Oke, kita
Orang
next.
luar negeri menilai bahwa tidak semua negara harus meniru Bali atau Thailand.
Ya,
Setiap
betul,
negara
harus.
memiliki hak penuh untuk menentukan batas, arah, dan karakter wisatanya sendiri. Malaysia dikenal
Terbaik.
dengan pendekatan pariwisata yang lebih tertib, sopan, dan berlandaskan nilai-nilai yang dijunjung oleh masyarakatnya. Pembatasan terhadap perilaku turis bukanlah bentuk penolakan terhadap wisatawan asing, melainkan upaya menjaga keseimbangan antara pariwisata, budaya, dan nilai sosial. Malaysia tetap terbuka bagi dunia, namun dengan prinsip saling menghormati. Justru inilah yang membuat Malaysia memiliki identitas yang jelas dan berbeda dari destinasi wisata lainnya di kawasan Asia Tenggara. Sebagai penutup, perbedaan Malaysia dengan Bali atau Thailand bukanlah sebuah kelemahan, melainkan pilihan sadar untuk menjaga identitas dan marwah negara. Tidak semua destinasi wisata harus identik dengan pesta dan hiburan bebas. Malaysia menunjukkan bahwa pariwisata bisa tetap maju tanpa harus mengorbankan nilai dan jati diri bangsa. Dari sini kita belajar bahwa setiap negara memiliki caranya sendiri dalam membangun pariwisata yang berkelanjutan dan bermartabat.
Oke guys, itulah tadi ya perbedaan cara negara ya di Asia ini menarik para pelancong ataupun para turis ya untuk datang ke negaranya. Oke, di Bali kebebasan ada ya, berpesta segala macam. Tapi bagi umat Islam istilahnya berpandangan ini bahwa gimana guys, Indonesia gitu kan ya, bukan hanya menarik wisatawan asing untuk datang ke Indonesia dengan cara yang seperti itu gitu guys ya. Tapi saya salutnya dengan Malaysia ya, walaupun dia Malaysia ini luar biasa dalam menarik dan memikirkan bagaimana caranya untuk menarik wisatawan asing untuk datang ke Malaysia, tetapi Malaysia ini tidak mengorbankan istilahnya, tidak mau mengorbankan nilai-nilai norma-norma yang ada di Malaysia ya. Salah satunya adalah kesopanan ya, tidak sebebas yang di Bali begitu guys. Ini terbaik menurut saya Malaysia, dan ini mungkin bisa menjadi contoh lah guys ya buat Indonesia, mungkin buat negara-negara Asia lainnya, tapi mereka tetap menjunjung tinggi norma-norma yang ada. Ini sih terbaik menurut saya guys. Bagaimana pandangan teman-teman semuanya, pendapat kawan-kawan semuanya, mungkin boleh komen saja di bawah guys ya. Oke guys, mungkin itu dulu video hari ini. Bertemu lagi di video selanjutnya, tetap di Rahmat Point Channel. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.